Session 3, Comfortable Interviewing Techniques. Your client interview is key to running a professional, efficient, and profitable tax practice. In this session, you will learn how to put prospective clients and current clients alike at ease and gather the information you need effectively and quickly. You will be able to convince prospective clients to use your services while securing the information you need to calculate their taxes accurately. Following your instructor's presentation, there will be 3 vignettes demonstrating the proper way to interview a client. Vignette number 1. In this first vignette, you will watch David interview a typical taxpayer. The woman has been through this process before and has most of the facts at hand. Watch how he asks her for missing information. Vignette number 2. Some taxpayers are less prepared than others. It's so important that you handle these situations tactfully. In this second dramatization, David is interviewing a young man that was not prepared for the typical questions. Watch as David discovers what is still needed and works with the client to get the information for the tax return. Vignette number 3. In this third scenario, David is meeting with a young mother who qualifies for the Earned Income Credit. Watch how David explores her situation to find out additional information that may be valuable for the tax return. Now, here's your instructor, Alan Bostrom.
Okay, your marketing efforts have worked. You have new clients. Now what are you going to do with them? You need to retrieve pertinent information without making them feel uncomfortable. Yet, you need this information to be able to do a great job for them on their tax return. In this session, we will discuss all you need to know about interviewing new and existing clients. A good interview will save you time and assure the client a more accurate tax return. Asking the right questions will also guarantee that you have all the information you need up front to make the preparation easier. Absent all the information, you will have to contact the taxpayer later, which will take more of your time and theirs. You also must ask about some personal things that are often sensitive. They need to trust that anything discussed in your office remains in your office. The information is confidential and never leaves your office. It's as simple as that. Here's an excellent example of good questioning and listening skills. Mary comes in to have her taxes done. She has a child and only made $5,000 during the year. She tells you that she filed as head of household last year and that little has changed. Your first thought is to refile as head of household this year. But you stop and think for a moment. It's awfully hard, if not impossible, to maintain a household on $5,000 a year. Therefore, you ask, does someone else live with you? Turns out her mother does, who is making $25,000 a year. Who do you think should be claiming your client's child as a dependent? That's right. It's most likely your client's mother. If the mother claims the child, how must your client file? Right again, single. Here's another example of good questioning and listening. Your 25-year-old client brings you a 1099-R. What is the 1099-R? You should recall that it is a form reporting a distribution from a 401k plan, IRA, or an annuity. Due to their age, you have to assume it's an early distribution from their retirement plan and may or may not be subject to a 10% penalty. This then deserves some follow-up questions. Did you roll it over to another qualifying plan? If the answer is no, your next question should be, what did you do with the money? Did you buy a new car? Did you go to the Bahamas? If they bought a Cadillac or went to the Bahamas, then they're subject to the 10% penalty. If the answer is no, I used it to buy a house, this should prompt another question. Is it your first house? And so on and so on. As you can see, a response to one interview question can generate a series of follow-up questions. Many potential deductions can be overlooked if you're not careful. Good questioning and interviewing skills can ensure that that does not happen. For instance, often a preparer forgets to put down the personal property taxes on the client's cars, boats, or recreational vehicles because clients forget to mention them. This will vary from state to state, but it's something of which you should be aware. A home office deduction is often overlooked. When a client is self-employed or a traveling salesperson, ask whether or not the client has a home office. During the interview, you may also learn that a client has recently made a major home improvement during the year, or perhaps they experienced a theft or casualty. It's surprising how many people do not realize that they may be entitled to a tax deduction to compensate for their loss. The point I hope to make here is that there is more to doing taxes than simply transferring information from W-2s and 1099s. You also need to be alert when gathering information and ask the right questions. One more critical point before moving on to some specifics. People like to do business with people they know and like. In an interview, sometimes you need to start the conversation off on a light note by asking questions about your client's family and personal likes and dislikes. Some rapport needs to be established before asking the necessary tax questions. Starting on a personal note makes the whole process easier. In the interview, you must be prepared, courteous, professional, patient, and above all, genuinely interested and concerned about your client's welfare and tax situation.